Marcia Wilson's knuckles whitened against the steering wheel as blue lights flashed in her rearview mirror. On any other day, this might have been a routine traffic stop. But today, her first day as the city's new chief of police, it carried a different weight entirely. She had fought through decades of discrimination to reach this position, knowing full well her appointment wouldn't sit easily with everyone. The conservative city's police force had made their disapproval clear enough during the selection process. Now, pulling onto the shoulder of the road, Marcia watched two white officers emerge from their patrol car, their deliberate movements suggesting they had all the time in the world. The senior officer approached first, his practiced gaze sweeping dismissively over her vehicle. His younger partner hung back, hand resting casually on his belt. "License and registration," the younger one demanded, skipping any pretense of courtesy. Marcia handed over her documents without a word, observing their practiced routine. The officers exchanged knowing looks, their demeanor radiating an unearned sense of authority. The senior officer held her license like it was a suspect. "Any reason you're in this area?" His tone carried an unmistakable edge. "You should know this isn't exactly the safest neighborhood for people like yourself." The familiar sting of prejudice burned in Marcia's chest, but years of experience had taught her to channel that anger into something more productive. She watched them closely as they prolonged the stop, their every action designed to make her uncomfortable. They were performing their usual routine, unaware they were giving their new chief a front-row demonstration of exactly what needed to change in the department. The young officer, finding nothing suspicious, still wasn't ready to back down. "What's your purpose in being in this area?" His voice sounded insistent, almost provocative. Marcia knew the situation was slipping out of the bounds of professionalism. These officers were determined to find something that would give them a reason to detain her. "I'm on my way to work," she replied shortly. The young officer squinted, not satisfied with that answer. "And what kind of work do you do, if you don't mind me asking?" His question sounded like a challenge. Marcia paused, studying their faces. She had a strong urge to tell them the truth right there, to put an end to this farce. But something held her back. Instead, she calmly replied, "You'll find out soon enough." The senior officer, sensing the situation was becoming awkward, stepped forward. "All right, that's enough." His tone was rough. "We could detain you for further questioning." This statement hit a nerve in Marcia. She knew she had every right to her freedom, but their arrogance and confidence in their own impunity fueled her anger. Taking a deep breath, Marcia decided her patience had run out. She looked the senior officer in the eye. "That's enough," she said, her voice firm but calm. "I'm your new boss, Chief Marcia Wilson." Both officers froze, their eyes widening in surprise. For a moment, silence filled the air, thick with unease and bewilderment. The younger officer didn't immediately grasp what had happened, but the senior officer instantly realized the gravity of the situation. You're the chief?" The senior officer stammered, his confidence evaporating. "Yes, and I'd like to know why you stopped me and why this pointless interrogation continues." Marcia continued, not breaking eye contact. The senior officer, now fully understanding their predicament, hurriedly tried to find the right words. "I'm sorry, Chief. This was a mistake, a misunderstanding." His voice now significantly softer, almost apologetic. "A misunderstanding?" Marcia paused, letting them grasp the absurdity of the situation. "Or is this an example of how you treat citizens based on their appearance?" She emphasized each word. "How many people like me have been stopped simply because they didn't fit your idea of who should be driving this car?" The officers stood in silence, unable to respond. "You'll be reporting to me during the first week about every vehicle you stop," Marcia continued, "and I'll thoroughly review how closely your approach aligns with the law and professional standards." Later that day, Marcia gathered all the officers for her first meeting. In front of the entire team, she recounted what had happened and made it clear that such methods would no longer be tolerated. She didn't blow it into a scandal, but she made sure they knew that things would be different from now on. Every officer in the precinct would have to understand their responsibility in how they treated citizens, regardless of their race or social status. The story quickly spread throughout the community. For some, it was a sign of change. For others, a warning. The media picked up the news, and Marcia became a symbol of the fight for justice and change in the system. She knew that much work lay ahead, but this first step was crucial. Now she understood that her position wasn't just a title, but an opportunity to make life better for those who had long suffered from injustice.